education of our children in New Jersey. I'm very familiar with New Jersey because I did my pre-doctoral internship in Trenton, New Jersey, across the street from the Trenton State Psychiatric Hospital at the Ewing Residential Treatment Center. And so what I want to do right now is I want to talk to my black parents. If you are a mother, a father, a foster parent, an adoptive parent, a grandparent, a aunt, a uncle, a big cousin, if you are a community leader, a community activist, an elected official, a pastor, or a grassroots organizer, I want you to hear me well, because the education of all of our children should be a priority for each and every one of us. Point number one, Paterson, New Jersey. I have seen your special education numbers. Paterson, New Jersey. I have seen your reading disability numbers. Paterson, New Jersey. I have seen your math disability numbers. And I want to be very honest with my parents right now. You are putting too many black children in special education, and you need to stop. You need to stop. And the reason you're putting too many black children into special education is because many of us are just as lazy as the teachers in the classroom. I'm going to say it again. Many of us as parents are just as lazy as the teachers in the classroom. I want to be clear about something. I've been evaluating children for over 25 years. Every race, every color, every culture. Most black children in special ed for the so-called reading disability, do not have a reading disability. They have a lazy disability. I'm going to say it again. They are not disabled. Your child has a reading IEP, you might as well go home and tear that up and sit them down at the kitchen table with a book a week. This summer, your children should be reading a book a week. If you're not taking your children to the public libraries in Paterson, New Jersey this summer, you are not on your job as a black parent. I want to be clear about that. It makes absolutely no sense, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to make sure you have my phone number when I'm done. So for you parents who need a private consultation with Dr. Umar about a special ed issue or a mental health issue or an ADHD issue, you can reach out to me by text message. I do not answer the phone. Do not call me. I will never answer the phone. Reach out to me by text message. We schedule a conversation, and then I will answer the phone. You're going to have my number, because after the day, I don't want to hear about another black boy or girl in Paterson, New Jersey being labeled as retarded when they're not. Labeled as emotionally disturbed when they're not. Labeled as ADHD when they're not. Labeled as conduct disorder when they're not. Labeled as oppositional defiant disorder when they're not. Labeled as math disorder when they're not. Labeled as reading comprehension disability. What the hell is a reading comprehension disability? He don't have a problem with reading comprehension. He has a problem learning how to comprehend what he reads. Your daughter don't have an algebra problem. Your daughter got, I don't want to learn algebra problem. We have to make sure we understand the difference between a legitimate learning disability and a lazy-ass black child. I want to say it again. We got to make sure we understand the difference between a legitimate learning disability and a lazy-ass black child. And most of our children in special ed do not have learning disabilities. They are lazy. And that's why if it was up to Dr. Umar, we would not diagnose the children. We would not diagnose the children. We would diagnose their parents. We would diagnose their mothers and their fathers and their teachers. And I want you to know something. These prisons in New Jersey are filled up with black men. These prisons in New Jersey are filled up with young black males. And guess what? When I go into the prisons of New Jersey to speak, and I speak to the inmates, I always ask them, Raise your hand if you was a special ed child, is what I asked them in the prisons of New Jersey. Raise your hand if you had an IEP. Raise your hand if your mother let somebody call you reading disabled, or your father let somebody call you math disabled. And when I asked that question, in the prisons of Trenton, in the prisons of Camden, in the prisons of Jersey City, Elizabeth, Union, Willingboro, when I asked that question, nearly every hand goes up in the jail. Why am I telling you that? Putting your black boy in special education is an introduction to mass incarceration. I'm going to say it again. Putting your black son in special education is an introduction to mass incarceration. Now let me clarify my remarks. Some of you may have autistic children. Some of you may have intellectually disabled children. Some of you may have blind children, or deaf children, or brain injured children, or orthopedically impaired children, or medically disabled children. I'm not talking about them. You know why I'm not talking about them? Blind black children are less than 2%. Deaf black children are less than 2%. Orthopedically impaired black children are less than 2%. Most of our babies are not in special ed for blindness, deafness, autism, orthopedic impairment, brain injury, medical disability. Most of our children in Paterson, New Jersey have an IEP for reading and math. Math and reading and math. And you know what's so sad? If I walk into your house right now, if I walk into the houses of Paterson, New Jersey, or tonight, if I walk into the houses of Camden, New Jersey, I'll be speaking in Camden at 6 o'clock tonight. I walk into the houses back home in Philadelphia, or yesterday in Newark, New Jersey, most of you do not have a bookshelf in your house. Most of you do not have a dictionary that has at least 300 pages in your house. Most of you do not have a thesaurus in your house. Most of you do not have a complete set of encyclopedia A through Z in your house. But you got all the Air Jordans, all the fake hair, you got all the laptops, you got all the cell phones, you got all the video games. I'm willing to bet you, for your son's birthday, you didn't buy him a single book. I will bet you $100 for your son's birthday, you didn't buy him a single book. I'll bet you $200 for Christmas, you didn't buy your son or daughter a single book. And the reason I'm bringing this up, we can talk about systemic racism. We can talk about institutional racism, and we have to talk about that. We should have more black teachers in New Jersey. We should have more black principals in New Jersey. We should have less out-of-school suspension in New Jersey. We should have less money for football and basketball and more money for reading and math in New Jersey. So yes, we got some problems with institutional racism. But we also have problems with how you run your damn household. Because in many of our black households, there's no such thing as homework. In many of our black households, there's no such thing as checking the damn homework. In many of our black households, there's no such thing as a reading hour. Listen to me, black parents. Summertime is coming up. When is the last day for school in Paterson? 26th, 22nd, next week, however you cut the cake. That means from next week until school starts, your child is going to read a book a week. That means you're taking them to the public library once a week to get a new book. And not only will each person in the family read a book, the family will also read a book together. 3 pages the father will read. 3 pages the mom will read. 3 pages the daughter will read. 3 pages the son will read. 3 pages grandma will read. 3 pages grandpa will read. Get your children into the habit of building a culture of literacy. Because half the black boys in 4th grade in America right now, not just New Jersey, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Oakland, Houston, Phoenix, Atlanta, Miami, Philadelphia, Baltimore, half the black boys in America in the 4th grade cannot read on their grade level. Half of them. And black fathers, I want my black fathers to hear me real well. I want my black fathers to hear me real well. Because some of y'all pissing me off. And you're pissing me off because you are preaching athletics to your son to the detriment of academics. I want to say it one more time. Too many black fathers are trying to relive your failed athletic dreams through your son. Your dreams are over. Stop trying to make that boy save your self-esteem. It is not your son's job to renovate and redeem your self-concept. Your life, that part of your life is over. Make sure that boy is mastering his academics, because guess what, black man? Guess what, black father? Guess what, black brother? Your son has a greater chance of being struck by lightning than becoming a multi-millionaire athlete. I want to say this again, because I don't think black fathers understand the statistical likelihood of your son going pro and making enough money to live off of it. Your son has a greater chance of being struck by lightning in Paterson, New Jersey than he ever has of becoming a multi-million-dollar athlete or entertainer. So will you please let Ray Ray and Tay Tay and Mike understand that although you might love football, although you may love basketball, you're going to be going professional in something other than athletics. Now I want to talk about ADHD. And I got to talk about ADHD, then I'm going to wrap up and get off this stage so I have time to talk to anybody who want to talk to me, take pictures with anybody who want to take pictures with me. I bought 10 copies of my book, Black Parent Advocate. I only bought 10, 500 pages, How to Save Your Child from the Public and Charter School. They're $50 a piece. It's a 500-page book, and you can pay with Cash App, PayPal, Apple Pay, Zelle, credit card, and cash. I only got 10 copies. I'll sign them for those who want to purchase them. Here's what I need you to know. ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. When did the American Psychiatric Association give up ADHD? We got ADHD in 1980. 1980. That's the same year the CIA dropped off cocaine in the black community. I'm going to say it again.
Word.
They gave us ADHD the same year the CIA dropped off crack cocaine in the black community.
Word.
Why is this relevant? You know why this is relevant? Because half y'all sitting here right now got a son or daughter on Concerta right now. You got a son or daughter on Cycler right now. You got a son or daughter on Ritalin right now. You got a son or daughter on Metadate right now. What is Ritalin? What is Concerta? What is Metadate? What is Cycler? You know what it is? It's crack. Synthesized cocaine. So if you're giving your child ADHD medicine in New Jersey, I want to ask you a question. Most black men in prison in New Jersey are in prison for non-violent drug offenses. Most black men in New Jersey are in prison for non-violent drug offenses. So why would you give your son the same drug that sent his father to jail for 10 years? It's synthesized cocaine. And you know what the problem is? Half of you giving your child medication will not be able to take them off the medication. You know why? Once the public school or the charter school finds out you took your son off of crack for kids, they're going to call DIFUS on you. I know because I interned with DIFAS. I know all about DIFAS. Y'all don't call it DIFAS no more, but I'm going to keep calling it DIFAS because that's what I know it to be. DIFAS is going to come to your house, and DIFAS is going to threaten you. Give that boy that medication, or we're going to take all of your children. And when DIFAS comes to your house, DIFAS ain't going to take just Mike. DIFAS is going to take Mike, Tay, little Rashida. They taking all your children from you. So the best way to stay out of the ADHD trap is to never, listen to me, New Jersey, half of y'all not going to listen. You're going to be calling me crying next year because your son is on crack and he losing too much weight, or he gaining too much weight, or he's sleeping too much, or he can't sleep enough, or he having tic disorders, nightmares, schizophrenic problems, organ dysfunction, and you're going to say, Dr. Umar, I should have listened to you when you was in Paterson, New Jersey for Juneteenth last year. So I'm telling you now, do not get your child evaluated for ADHD, because the only solution they have for ADHD is drugs. That's it. There's no other answer for ADHD. And you know why there's no other answer for ADHD? Because ADHD don't even exist. ADHD don't even exist. ADHD don't even exist. You know what ADHD is? A normal, regular, healthy black boy with natural African energy who goes to a school filled with teachers who don't care about little black boys, and they're at a school with no recess, no gym class, no class trip, no organized physical activity, and they expect a black boy to sit still for 8 hours a day. You can't even sit still for 8 hours a day. So why are the schools in New Jersey expecting your son to sit still for 8 hours a day? And guess what? We can eliminate ADHD overnight. We can eliminate special ed overnight. We can eliminate high school dropout overnight. We can eliminate juvenile detention overnight by doing what? Give every black boy in Paterson, New Jersey, a strong black male teacher. I said give every black boy in Paterson, New Jersey, a strong black male teacher. But they're not going to do that because the prisons would lose money. They're not going to do that. The courts would lose money. They're not going to do that. The probation program would lose money. The halfway houses would lose money. So they're not going to do that. So the only way we're going to destroy mass incarceration in Paterson, New Jersey is to teach our sons discipline at home. And I want to give you Dr. Umar's definition of discipline, and I'm going to be quiet in 5 minutes so they can resume with the awards, because I love to see the black community honoring its own people. We do not honor ourselves enough. All we do is criticize and condemn. We have to honor black people. If you want to see more good behavior, you have to reward, acknowledge, and honor the good behavior. Listen, when a boy goes through puberty, he develops testosterone. When a girl goes through puberty, she develops estrogen. When girls go through puberty, what do you begin to do, ladies? You sleep. Women sleep when their body begin the process of preparing to carry a child. Boys don't sleep. Testosterone makes us energetic. Testosterone makes us active. Testosterone makes us want to run and jump and climb and roll around and tackle each other. This is not a mental disease. This is a war against black males. That's all this is. And I'm going to tell all you parents right now, if you don't go to back to school night, you're not a good parent. If you don't go to a report card conference, you're not a good parent. I am sick and tired of going to meetings with black children and the mother don't show up, father don't show up, aunt don't show up, uncle don't show up, grandparents don't show up. How you going to put a black child in special ed and not even look after them? Shame on you. Shame on you. And my black mothers, I want to thank my single black mothers because you've done a great job taking care of our children given the war against black males. So fellas, give all the black mothers a hand. They not perfect, but without them, things would be 100 times worse. Black mothers are not perfect, but without them, things would be 100 times worse. But here's what I want to say to my black mothers. Some of you doing a great job raising your daughter and a horrible job raising your son. Some of you are spoiling your sons beyond repair. You are destroying that boy because you're giving him nothing but love, and you're spoiling him with no discipline, no accountability, and no responsibility. In other words, when a black woman says, I can't find a good black man, when a black woman says, I can't find a good black man, next time you say that, I want you to look at the sister to your right. Because the problem is sisters are destroying their sons for somebody else's daughter later in life. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real. And what is Dr. Umar's definition of discipline? What is Dr. Umar's definition of discipline? It is the ability for your child to do what they don't want to do when it has to be done, whether they like it or not. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to say it one more time. Because guess what? Guess what? The black household is not teaching discipline. The black household is teaching worship of money and materialism. I said the black household is teaching worship of money and materialism to black children. So let me ask you a question. If you are teaching our children to worship Air Jordans and worship Gucci and worship Balenciaga and worship all these European designer companies that don't give one damn about what's happening in Parental, New Jersey, if you teaching them to worship expensive clothes and merchandise, but you're not training them up with discipline, do you know what you're doing? You are breeding criminals in your household. You are breeding criminals in your household. You are breeding criminals in your household. To tell me I gotta have Nike to be somebody. To tell me I gotta have Balenciaga to be somebody. To tell me I gotta have Gucci and Louis Vuitton to be somebody, and then you turn around and you don't train me on how to be a responsible, disciplined young man or woman, how am I going to get that Gucci? How am I going to get that Nike? How am I going to get that Balenciaga? I'm going to have to rob, kill, and steal. And that's why we got so much violence in the black community. That's why we got so much violence in the black community. That's why we got so much violence in the black community. Because the black community is teaching their kids to worship things that you're not training them with the discipline to legally acquire. To legally acquire. To legally acquire. I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up. I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up. ADHD really stands for Ain't No Daddy at Home Disorder. So I'm making every black man in Paterson, New Jersey accountable. Listen to me, brothers. I don't care how many biological sons you have of your own. I don't care how many biological sons you have of your own. Every black man in Paterson should be responsible for 2 of your non-biological sons under the age of 18 who don't have their father in their life. I'm sick and tired of black men watch black women struggle with our children. I'm sick and tired of watching black men walk past black mothers struggling to raise our sons, and we do not offer any help, any support, any intervention. If we want the respect of black women, if we really want our sisters to honor and respect us as the kings we are, we only got to do one thing. One thing will get you the respect of every black woman in America. Take back your neighborhood from our sons that we did not raise. I'm going to say it again, black man. You want respect? Take back Patterson from the young brothers who are terrorizing our elders, robbing our mothers, knocking over our daughters, beating up and killing our nieces. You want respect back? Take back the hood from black boys that we should have raised responsibly. I want to close. Take out your phone. I'm going to give you my phone number. I want to close. Take out your phone. I'm going to give out my phone number. And somebody please text me a picture of me up here with this beautiful sign right here. I love this right here. And whoever got this made, I need to know where you got this from. Because you all know that I've been working on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in Wilmington, Delaware. Many of you have donated to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy in Wilmington, Delaware. It will be an all-boys school. All-boys school in Wilmington, Delaware, where we teach military science, political science, agricultural science, agronomic science, financial science, economic science, dietary science, nutrition science, spiritual science, astrological science, science of the black man, woman, and child. We will have 2 buses coming from New Jersey every day to Wilmington, Delaware. There will be a bus from Camden, and there will be a bus from Trenton. There's a bus coming from Trenton. I believe Trenton is the other city. So I don't know if you can get your child to Camden in the morning or Trenton in the morning, but if you can, we would love to have your son at the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RG Leadership Academy for Pan-Africanism and Black Excellence. If you want to work at my school, send me your resume. If you want to work at the school, send me your resume. We not only need teachers, we need people who know how to grow crops. We need people who know how to farm. We need sisters who know how to do natural hair. We need security guards. We need bus drivers. We need secretaries. We need nurses. We need home and school security. My cell number is, brothers and sisters. If you need the email for the resume, you can text me for it. My cell number, I'm going to give it to you 3 times, Patterson. 215-989-9858. I repeat, 215-989-9858. Once more for my special ed parents. I'm picking with you. 215-989-9858. That is my own personal cell. It's in my pocket. Nobody checks it but me. Special announcement before I run. I charge a fee for consultations, but there's one consultation charge. Listen to me. If you have a son or daughter who has ever been evaluated by the school psychologist or the clinical psychologist, I hope you're listening. If you've ever had a son or daughter who was evaluated by the school psychologist or the clinical psychologist and determined to be intellectually disabled or mentally retarded, which is the same thing. That's the same thing. Barack Obama renamed mental retardation intellectual disability in 2009. If your son or daughter was ever diagnosed as intellectually disabled and you do not agree, email Dr. Umar the evaluation. I will review the psychological evaluation for free. For free. And I will call you up and get on the telephone and tell you if I agree or not with the conceptualization of the diagnosis. And if I don't agree, I'm going to have you write a letter to the principal of your child's school requesting an independent educational evaluation. I need y'all to know this. Whenever your child is evaluated by a public or charter school, if you don't agree with the evaluation, you have a right to a second opinion. And that second opinion is called independent educational evaluation. I'm going to tell you something else. When you call me, I'm going to ask for the paperwork. I need the paperwork. I can't help you without the paperwork. If you don't have the paperwork, all you have to do is write a letter to the principal. I'm requesting a complete copy of my child's paperwork. Test scores, report cards, special ed, discipline, classroom documentation. This is my right under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. You have 45 days to provide me with a complete copy of my child's record. Your child's school has 45 days to give you a complete copy of your child's record. So if you don't have the paperwork, you can get the paperwork. Let me close. I'm going to give you a quote from my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. My family came to America in 1701. A black man named Bailey, stolen from Nigeria. He was brought to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman by the name of 𝚂𝚗𝙱𝚂𝙸𝙱, for whom my 12-year-old daughter is named. In 1745, they had my grandmom, Jenny. In 1774, Grandma Jenny gave birth to Grandma Betsy, Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. Grandma Betsy was born a slave. She married a free black man, my grandpa Isaac. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Harriet. Another daughter was named Young Betsy, my 5 times great-grandmother. These 2 sisters were raped by Aaron Anthony, the white man who owned my family. As a result of that rape, in February of 1818, my Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader in American history. His name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, Cousin Frederick ran away from Baltimore, through Delaware, through Philly, up to New York, and he changed his name to hide his identity on the Underground Railroad. So in 1838, Frederick Bailey became Frederick Douglass. In 1819, my grandma Betsy gave birth to my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey. Stephen and Frederick were brothers because the slave master was their daddy, but they were also cousins because the slave master raped 2 sisters. My grandfather Stephen married my grandmother Caroline. She didn't learn how to read until 1909, the year the NAACP was founded. On November the 14th, 1841, 10 years after the Nat Turner War, they gave birth to my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher in Denton, Maryland. In 1861, the Civil War begins. Frederick doesn't fight, but he sends his sons Lewis and Charles. They go north to Boston. They enroll in the Boston, Massachusetts 54th Colored Regiment. If you've ever seen the movie Glory, starring Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman, that's the movie about my cousins Lewis and Charles Douglas of the 54th Massachusetts. My grandfather George and his father, my grandfather Stephen, fought in the United States Colored Troops of Maryland, 9th Regiment and 19th Regiment. My grandfather George was at Appomattox Courthouse when Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. My grandfather George was in Galveston, Texas on June 19th when General Gordon Granger ran Special Order Number 3, giving emancipation to all Africans in Texas previously held in bondage. Why am I telling you that? Why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln. The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln, brothers and sisters. So after the war, my grandpa George married Grandma Annie. They had Grandma Caroline. She moved to Philadelphia. She had Grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian married an Afro-Cuban from Havana, Grandpa Cicero. They had my Grandma Ida, who passed away 5 years ago. She met and married James Johnson. They had Jamal Johnson. He met and married Barbara in North Philadelphia. And so on August the 21st, the anniversary of the Nat Turner War, August the 21st, the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution. August the 21st, the anniversary of the George Jackson War. August the 21st, the original birthday of Jesus Christ. August the 21st, the day Emmett Till showed up in Money, Mississippi. I was born in the ghettos of North Philadelphia. Frederick Douglass said, and I'll leave you with this, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom but deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain, but they're scared of the thunder or the lightning. Frederick Douglass said, a man may not get all he pays for in this world, but you will pay for everything that you get. And if we as black people are ever to become free of the injustices inflicted upon us, we must pay for their removal. You may pay with words, you may pay with blood, you may pay with your life, but power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Frederick Douglass said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. But the good Lord gave Frederick Douglass no freedom until I got up off my knees and start praying with my feet. Frederick Douglass said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you. And the man who respects you has no need for pity. And the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who gave us that red, black, and green. The most honorable Marcus Garvey, who gave us the largest black organization in modern history. You can't talk about Malcolm X without talking about the Honorable Marcus Garvey. You can't talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad without talking about the Honorable Marcus Garvey. You can't talk about King. You can't talk about Mega. You can't talk about the Panthers. You can't talk about black liberation until you talk about that black man who said, up, 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 you mighty rate. You can accomplish what you will. Marcus Garvey said, the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. Marcus Garvey said, if the black man and woman are not careful, you will drink of all the poison in Western civilization and die from the effects of it. Marcus Garvey was asked, are you an African or are you a Jamaican? Are you an African or are you a Jamaican? And Garvey looked up and said, you asked me, am I African or am I Jamaican? And I tell you, I would never give up a continent for an island. Patterson, New Jersey, I love you. Black power.